Hello friends. Firstly, just want to say I have a sore neck, so if I'm like, ow, that actually hurt in this video, then that's why. I'm not just being uptight. I have been putting this video off for quite a long time, and when I say a long time I mean like years. I did actually try and film this video a couple of years back, and I did film it, and it ended up just being so long. I think I was filming it for like hours, just sat chatting and giving my whole life story. I just decided I couldn't upload it because it was just way too much. So we're back today. I have actually written down notes for this video because it's just so much to try and say in one video that I needed to get all my thoughts down, especially after what happened on my first attempt of trying to film this. Like, there's not just one linear quick story, I guess. As you guys know, if you are into fitness yourself, or I just think everyone will have experienced this, fitness is not just, you know, straight, you start it and then you end up with your dream mindset, your dream body, and it's all perfect. That's just not how it works. It's very up and down. It's hard. I don't know where to start. My mind's all a bit of a mush, but I have written some notes on some scrappy bits of paper to hopefully mean that I can actually make some sense of this and give you an alright video. Gotta be honest and say I was quite sporty as a child. I was always into like sports and yeah, sports. I did dancing from when I was 4. Dancing was definitely my main thing growing up, and it kind of kept me active and just was a good base, I guess, for exercise and just keeping fit and healthy. Food wise, I never, as a young child, thought about food at all and just kind of ate what I ate everything. To be honest, my parents were actually very, like, they didn't restrict me with my food, and I can remember as I was younger, like, I would go to, my friends would come to my house, or I would go to school with my packed lunchbox or whatever, and my friends would be shocked that I would have like crisps or chocolate bars, or I don't know, the sort of things. Like, sometimes my parents would give me pizza for my lunch, just in my lunchbox. I don't know if that's weird, but I actually think I'll get back into that later on, but I definitely think it was a very good thing. Like, I would have Cocoa Pops for breakfast, chocolate cereals, and my parents were just quite free with that. They didn't just let me eat 10 ice creams or whatever, because that's just an extreme, but they never restricted food groups, which I think is a really important part of my whole journey. And yeah, something that I'm very thankful for now. I always just had a really big appetite, so I would always eat a lot. My parents always gave me big portions. Again, compared to most people or most girls my age, my friends and things, I did eat quite a lot from a young age. I had a really good relationship with food, I think. Obviously I ate vegetables and stuff. I'm not just saying my parents just gave me really unhealthy foods and I just ate McDonald's every day for my lunch and dinner and everything, but there was just no restriction. That's the point that I was trying to make. So it was a good balance of, like, I didn't have any cut out food groups, so I wasn't told that sweets were bad. Okay, I'm already rambling, guys. This is really difficult to do. Okay, so then I kind of got a bit more, you know, as you grow a bit older, hit puberty and that, you start to think a little bit more about your appearance, the way you look, and I guess it becomes a bit of a bigger thing. These thoughts, and I just guess a bit more of awareness starts to creep in, and that's definitely what happened with me. I started to get quite, yeah, I cared way too much about how I looked body wise, and it really affected me from a young age. And actually this really makes me sad, as a lot of young girls and guys I know go through at a particular age. Suddenly everything, you just start to pick yourself apart, and I definitely did that. I started seeing cellulite. I always had quite big legs too, and I don't know whether that's because of dancing or just genetics in general, but I always was quite, I don't know, I look back now and I'm like, no you weren't, shut up. But at the time, and I always just have been quite like a bigger girl, I guess. I've always had bigger legs, so that started to be a really big thing for me. And especially when the whole trend for like thigh gaps and that kind of thing yeah, that's kind of where it started to go a bit downhill, and I very much just wanted to change the way I looked completely. I hated myself, hated the way I looked. That's when I started getting into fitness more, but it was in like a negative way. So I mainly just did cardio, and that's all I did, and it was sort of as a chore, it was as a punishment and to try and change myself. And I'm really sorry if this is triggering. This is also another reason why I didn't really want to do this video, because I don't want to be triggering, but I also am just sharing my story. I'm really sorry. I really don't want this to trigger anyone, but I am just sharing my story, and yeah, I'm sorry. So that's when I started really getting into like calories and how much am I eating, and I'd look at myself and just think, I'd look at thinner people and want to be that, because I thought that that's what you had to be, because society back then, it's getting better now, I know it's still not great, but back then it was just toxic. I went to the gym when I was at school, and I was about 15ish. I started going to the gym and started doing lots of cardio. So I remember me and my friends would go to the gym after school, and we would literally just stare at the screen and like the calorie count, and that's all it was about. Thinking back now, it's just horrific, and I don't even like speaking about it. Makes me sad, but yeah, that's what happened. We went to the gym, it was all about calories, how many calories could we burn, and I would literally be thinking in my head like what I'd eaten that day and how I'd be burning those calories off so it was okay. Oh, it was just, that's not good. There was a fly. This is when Instagram started to become a bit of a thing, when I was around 15 I think, and all I would do was follow girls with like really shredded abs, which is amazing, and I'm not wanting to shame any body type here, but just for me at that time, that was just unsustainable, and I was following body types that were unsustainable for me personally. I would have a wallpaper on my phone of a really shredded six-pack. You get the gist, I don't want to get too into it, but I was just very much not happy with the way I was. I was really horrible to myself, to be honest, really horrible to myself, and I wish I could go back now and just like shake myself. At this time, or at school, my nutrition was pretty terrible. I think just the whole relationship with fitness and food in general, it was just bad. I'd go down the street, which is what we used to call it, go down the street, which would probably sound so weird to anyone that didn't go to my school, or I guess everyone has different terms that they use at school, but at lunchtime we would go down the street for our lunch. Anyway, I would go and get my lunch, and I would honestly get like a buttered baguette, so just a buttered baguette, so just butter on bread, and then I'd go to the sweet shop and get like a pound of sweets, and that would be my lunch, and I'd do that like every single day. And then I'd get home and I'd eat like 5 bags of crisps and chocolate bars, and that is when it went bad, because I was telling myself that I had to eat less. This was when the whole carbs are bad thing was really big, and just everything was toxic. And because I was telling myself all of this, and I was telling myself it was bad, telling myself I shouldn't be having it, shaming myself and all of this, it then made me want it even more, because I was restricting. It's a whole restriction binging thing. It made me want it more. So I'd have 1 packet of crisps and it would turn into 5, and I'd have sweets, but like a whole bag. I couldn't just have a few, I'd have a whole bag. Just my whole mindset, it was really sad, really toxic and horrible, and I just didn't give myself a lot of love. And yeah, really not how fitness should be whatsoever. At this time I also went for a lot of runs. That's what I thought I needed to do. I hated running. I hate running. I hate running now. I wouldn't go for a run now. Can't tell you the last time I went for a run. Again, no shame on running, but just personally I think it's because I used to make myself do it. It's a no from me. Used to force myself to go on runs. Absolutely hated it. How sad is that? Absolutely hated it. But I'd force myself because I thought, oh, I have to burn these calories today, otherwise I'm an awful human being. And I hate saying it. I'm sorry guys, I hate saying it. I then went to uni. I again was still really pretty much the same at uni, except this is when obviously I started going out more, started drinking more, So I guess my eating just got even worse. I downloaded the BBG, Kayla's fitness app thing, and it was all very much like HIIT workouts that I would do in my room. Kind of didn't enjoy it. I don't want to slag off that app because it's great, but it's just not what I was like into, and it just wasn't coming from a bad place. It wasn't coming from a good place. So it just, yeah, it didn't work. I again would just force myself to do it, which fitness should not be about that. We should be enjoying what we do. We should be enjoying our workouts. At this time I would be going out about 3 times a week, maybe even more sometimes, drinking. I'd have McDonald's or like a Chinese afterwards. Honestly, I have memories of going to work. My walk back from work was about 15 minutes. I would pop into Sainsbury's on the road on the way back, get a multi-pack of cookies, and by the time I was back at my flat I would have finished all 5 of them. And that is how my whole restriction binging thing went, and it was just not good. I would open a packet of Kit Kat Chunkies, like the multi-packs, and have one after the other until all 4 of them were gone, and then just felt rubbish and just hated myself. And I was just, ugh. I wish I could speak to myself back then. And honestly, I never ever thought that I could get out of that, so it's not all bad. That is why I'm here now doing this. It gets better. Because I was restricting myself, I was telling myself I couldn't eat these things. Up here, when you tell yourself you can't have something, you want it 10 times more. And that's how it went, and it was just not good. I did make healthy meals at uni, stir fries and things, but it was very much just like I was 2 different people. I would have the healthy stir fry, and then I'd go out and have a night out and have like McDonald's and Chinese and things, and it's just because my mindset wasn't quite there. Well, it wasn't there at all. It was very much not there. Another thing I've written down here, which I didn't mention, was the BBG app that I did was always an 8-week, I think, or was it 12-week? 8 or 12 weeks. And for me, that was very much like a quick fix. Like in my head, it would be, I need to get through this 8. It might have been 12 weeks, I can't remember. But I need to get through this 8 weeks, and then I'm there. And that's how my mindset with fitness was, and I think that's the mistake a lot of people make, is following these kind of 8-week guides and kind of expecting that to transform your life, and that's just not the way it is gonna work. So that wasn't sustainable. There's no way I could have done that for more than 8 weeks. You know what, I don't think I ever actually made the 8 weeks, ever. I never made the full guide. I never did it. I think I would get like halfway, and then that was as much as I could physically force myself to do it until I just completely gave up. And do you know how many times I actually started from the beginning? A lot. A lot. Just not sustainable. It is so important to do something you enjoy. Okay, I am going to move on now. Getting to the good parts now. I started weightlifting when I was at uni. So I did primary teaching at Aberdeen Uni, and for my 3rd year I moved home because my placement was near my parents' house. There was no point me living up in Aberdeen when my placement was back home and I was there every single day, so it just made sense. This was kind of when Instagram was becoming a little bit more, I don't really know when it happened, but I guess like the Gymshark athletes, and you had Whitney Simmons, you had Chrissy, you had Megan. These kind of athletes I was starting to see on my Instagram, and that's when I saw weightlifting, and I was like, hang on a second, these girls look amazing. They were really promoting how amazing they felt from this weightlifting rather than like cardio. Again, not shaming cardio. Cardio is great. There's something for everyone. But this was kind of when I was like, hang on a minute. What's this? This was at a point where with uni and everything, I just wasn't in the best place, and I was kind of at this point, I just needed something to take me away from life, which sounds very deep. I mean, I guess it is deep. But I just really needed something to take me away. I just thought, let's give it a try. I went to the gym with my boyfriend. At that time there was no way you would have got me in a weightlifting room in the gym, in the weightlifting area on my own. There's no way. I'd gone to the gym a lot, but just running or the cardio machines, never to the weights, and you would have never have got me in there on my own. So I went with my boyfriend and we just started trying it out, and honestly from the first time that I tried it, I just knew that it was for me. Suddenly it was less about being the thinnest version of myself and the smallest version possible, and it was just about being strong. It was putting weights on the barbell. It was just about strength, and it was about, oh, my whole mindset just changed. I actually wrote here that when I did the cardio and was in the other mindset, these are the 3 words that I wrote down as I was making my notes. So forced, chore and punishment. And that just sums up how I felt back then towards fitness. And then the words that I wrote down for the weightlifting and that mindset was strong, happy. I kind of feel like I need a third, but I didn't write a third. Fulfilled. Fulfilled? Fulfilled. Why can't I say that? Fulfilled. I can't say it. Fulfilled. Fulfilled was not about my body anymore. It was about how much I needed that mentally. That was my space. And it just transformed my mindset. When I was in the gym, I was working on me and I was in my zone, and I would come out and I would feel strong, happy. Honestly, I do not know. I don't know what I would have done without it. I really don't. I think I'd been to the gym a few times doing weights, and I started posting. I asked my boyfriend, I was like, can you film me doing it? And then I just posted my video on Instagram, and that's where it all started, because just straight away I was so passionate about it. I loved it so much. I felt so good from it that I wanted to share it. I originally just kind of learned everything about weightlifting myself through YouTube, through Instagram, and just really researched it, and I was just honestly in awe. I just loved the whole thing, and I ended up actually leaving teaching because I just knew that I wanted to do something with fitness straight away. I just knew it. It was like the biggest passion ever. I just needed to be doing something with fitness, and I wanted to share my love for it as much as I could. So that's when I decided to do a personal training course and instead go into that. I just learned so much more, because I initially was kind of just doing a lot of mix and match workouts, which initially you will see results from, because it's like a new thing and your body will just naturally change to the new way of exercise. But as you kind of progress, you do kind of need to know what you're doing, because I did kind of reach a point where I was like, okay, you know, you kind of plateau, because you need to understand the techniques and the types of training you should be doing to progress after you've been like initially got into weightlifting. From being kind of not too sure what I was doing, mix and match workouts, you know, following workouts off Instagram, loads of just different things. There wasn't much progression there, or I wasn't really following a plan. I didn't really know what I was doing. Whereas obviously now I've learned more. I now follow proper structures and I write myself a plan, which obviously is far better for seeing results. I got results so quickly as well from weightlifting, which I had never seen from the cardio and the HIIT workouts. I'd never seen results. I was never happy. I was starting to see my body changing shape. I was just starting to feel so much happier. I just felt good in my body, and I just saw very quick results, and then I guess it just went from there. Hello. I don't know what is up with this lighting. Funky. I need to pop in and add in a little bit here, because past me filming this video earlier didn't do a job properly. I just wanted to mention that when I first got into weightlifting, because I was being consistent with it and was just loving it so much and really throwing myself into it, it meant I was working out a lot more than I previously had done. Not too much, but just more than I previously had. So I ended up losing quite a bit of weight was probably my smallest that I had been, which is so ironic since I wanted to be small when I was doing the cardio, but then I ended up being smaller doing the weightlifting without wanting to be. Very bizarre, the whole thing, quite ironic. And I think it's at this point when I realised that food is fuel and I actually need food. And that's when I realised that I needed to start increasing my food. Obviously I was working out, the weightlifting was increasing my metabolism, and yeah, I just needed more food. So that was when I was at my smallest, and then I started to build up my calorie intake. I started to get and research more about macros and what I should be eating, and I just wanted to know that I was, because this training had changed my whole mindset, and now I was training for my body rather than against my body, if that makes sense. I wanted to make my body better. I was trying to look after my body. I now wanted to fuel it properly and wanted to make sure that I was eating what I should have been eating. So this is when I got into macros. I spoke about this earlier, so I'm going to insert that clip now. Sorry, this is really confusing. I told you this was a difficult video to film. There's too much. My head was a mush. I will now include the bit that I spoke about earlier. It will get back to normal soon, I promise. So I don't actually strictly follow my macros now, but when I first started weightlifting, I did learn about all that kind of stuff. Macros is basically your carbs, fats and proteins and all of the different food groups that you should be getting within your diet. And I did initially track to make sure that I was getting enough of these food groups, which is really important. Just didn't really think about that before, or didn't really realise that there's different food groups. Well, I did, but I didn't really realise the importance, especially when wanting to live a healthy, balanced life. So obviously protein is so important, and I'd never even thought about that. So yeah, really important part of the whole journey. And if you're a newbie fitness guru, does that make sense? A newbie fitness guru? I don't know. But if you get into fitness and you don't know about macros, I would recommend watching some YouTube videos on it and just making sure you do not need to track your food all the time. Some people love it, some people hate it, but I would recommend just initially, just to get an idea, or at least kind of opening your eyes up to the fact that it's important to get enough of all food groups. Okay, bye-bye. I started to realise that food wasn't your enemy, and it was actually a good thing, and I just became less scared of eating more. Now I actually don't restrict anything at all. If I want pizza, I will eat pizza. If I wanted a piece of pizza right now, I would eat that piece of pizza right now. If I wanted a chocolate bar, I would eat it. But the difference is, because I let myself have them and have... What am I even doing? Honestly, I can't sit still. I just have to be fiddling with something. Because I let myself have these foods now, I don't go crazy and I don't feel the need to binge on them and have the whole packet. Carbs are my best friend now. I cannot tell you, carbs are my best friend. I eat so much pasta. I actually think I eat the most, at least equaling the most I've ever eaten. I eat so much carbs and yummy foods, and I'm actually the happiest in my body that I've ever been to. To anyone that isn't at that place, or is in a place that I've spoken about earlier in this video, I can't tell you, and I know it's not that easy for me to just say this, and it'll make like that click go off in your head and you'll be all happy and fine and be at this point. I know that's not how it works. It didn't work like that for me, but you will get there, and it is possible. Please believe that. I've been asked quite a few times like what my goals are now, and to be honest, I don't really have set goals as such. I just want to be stronger, maybe get a bit more muscle, a bit more defined. I'm not really in a bulk or a cut or any of that. I'm just doing my thing, enjoying my training, enjoying my eating. Of course, I can definitely do more videos on all this kind of stuff, but I could honestly just speak for hours and hours just now, and there's only so much that I can talk about in this video. I am going to do a week of workouts and show you my whole workout split, and just like a really realistic week of my workouts. I'll be filming that pretty soon, in the next few weeks hopefully, and so that'll give you a bit more of an insight into how my training is. And actually I've been training in the way I do now for quite a while. Now I'm at a place where if I don't work out, it's not the end of the world. I used to absolutely hate on myself, give myself the hardest time ever if I skip to workout, and that is not sustainable. It's just, it doesn't matter. You're gonna miss workouts. You're gonna miss, like, I've not worked out in the last week because I have pulled my neck sleeping or something. So I've had the week off, and that's absolutely fine. And over summer I've had quite a lot of time off, and that is fine. That is what is sustainable, and you're gonna carry on for the rest of your life. And that will go, it'll take you so much further than just being so harsh on yourself for 8 weeks, because you're not gonna finish it. And again, after 8 weeks, what happens? Because it's not sustainable for the rest of your life. So missing workouts is fine. Eating yummy foods is fine. Never restrict yourself. I could honestly talk forever, and I feel like I've missed so much. I feel the best I ever felt. I feel strong. I feel independent. I feel capable. And that is what fitness is about. I feel I've been very serious in this video. I'm very sorry. It's been quite a stressful one to film because I'm just scared of missing things, but I'm gonna go now because I'm rambling. Thank you so much for watching. As I've said, I've missed bits, so if you want me to do an in-depth video on like something in particular, please let me know. Okay guys, I'm gonna go now. I think I've said everything, and yeah, hope you enjoyed. See ya, bye bye.